Across the globe, the rising cost in housing is encouraging many people to get creative and search out alternatives. One of those alternatives being models of multi-generational living, where families come together to share housing and land resources. Here in Sydney, Australia, we're about to visit one very unique family home that's been designed to slot right in to a suburban backyard. G'day Nick, how's it going, mate?
Good, Bryce, how are you?
Good, thank you, great to meet you. Now you are the designer behind this spectacular home, aren't you?
That's right, this is a house that I've designed for a lifetime friend, actually, and this is a secondary dwelling built on the block of the in-laws.
Now this home, it's obviously brand new on the site and you've just started leveling work around it and everything.
That's right.
What is the concept behind what you've done here?
So locally we have the opportunity to build secondary dwellings on particular lots, and this is one of those lots. And we've developed what is commonly referred to as a granny flat. We don't like to refer to it as a granny flat. We refer to it more as a backyard architecture. But we've taken advantage of that legislation to build a second dwelling on this lot.
In cities like Sydney, this is becoming very commonplace, isn't it? Because housing affordability, it's just gone crazy. And intergenerational living, this is really one of the only options that's available to a lot of people now, isn't it?
With affordability issues, we've really wanted to champion the idea of multi-generational living where families can stay together, shared responsibility and particularly shared financial burden. So absolutely, it's an opportunity to take advantage of that legislation, but also help to densify our suburbs, which is really, really important because when they were set up, they're large lots, a single house, and it's important to be able to make use of this underutilised space, I think. And the owners here weren't interested in having a sizable mortgage, and they've got a young child and they're looking to have another young child. And if there's an opportunity to keep a family together and, as I said, share responsibility, then why not? You know, it makes a lot of sense.
Originally, we were living in an apartment near the beach, and then I fell pregnant. So we decided to move closer to our parents and our family. And we had our baby Noah, and we were living with our parents, which was lovely for the help, but it was a lot, us being all together under the same roof. So we were looking for something that allowed us to be close to our parents, but also have a bit more privacy. So this is a great option for us.
It was very much about the benefits of living with family more than anything else, and the whole appeal of having Bianca's parents close by was a big part of this. And Noah loves that. He's here 1 minute and then the next minute he's down there with them. And
yeah, it's just so nice to have Noah's grandparents close by to be there for him as he grows up. And yeah, we love that lifestyle.
Can you tell me about the inspiration for the exterior and the kind of look of the home?
Well, the idea is that as you look on this block, there are a lot of native trees, and with age they tend to grey and sort of settle into their environment. We want the house to do the same. So this house has only been here for a couple of months, but you can already see the timber starting to lighten and grey. And as that happens, it'll help to really sort of bed into its environment here.
In this home, you've definitely gone for a very modern and super minimalist aesthetic. Can you talk to me about that?
We have, but just in sort of refraining from that, I guess, container look, we've sort of inserted this entry stoop, which acts almost like a wayfinding device for guests to kind of come into the house. But yes, we have gone for a very sort of contemporary modular look.
And what about the construction method that's been used in this home?
This house is built from a material called cross-laminated timber. So they're structural solid panels of timber, and all of the timber is locally grown and locally sourced. And it means that we can erect a structure of this size in a day. And in building this dwelling, unfortunately, we had to lose some trees, which were gums, so we decided to clad the house in gums as a sort of nod to what was here. The council dictated that we position the house in a particular location. That's exactly where the trees were. We wanted to put the house off to the side of the trees and use the trees as shading, but unfortunately we had to put it here and the trees had to go. So the plan now is to replace those trees and wait a considerable number of years for them to come back.
Bureaucrats probably wanted them for more paper, right?
That's exactly right.
What a shame. Well, I love the look of the house and I cannot wait to see what you've done on the inside. Can we check it out?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go.
Thank you. This is lovely. I really like how you've kept all of the timber exposed because it really just helps to warm up the space, doesn't it?
That's right, that feeling of warmth and that sort of natural environment is what the clients really wanted. So this is just the structure completely expressed without any additional or superficial wall linings. And all we've done is sand the panels and there's no additional treatment. And you can see up in the corner there, we've left a section of the structure exposed so that we can highlight to people how the house goes together.
Very clever. So, in addition to this being a very strong home, it's obviously incredibly well insulated because walking in, the noise level has just completely dropped. It's very quiet in here.
That's right, a cross-laminated timber house certainly aids in acoustic properties, but also very much in thermal comfort. And we have gone to great lengths to insulate the house because the temperatures can really drop in this area, and then in summer the temperatures can get very, very high. So insulation was something that's very important.
And it's really nice how this room just opens out onto that backyard as well. I can see a few chickens scratching in the dirt out there.
That's right, it very much feels like they are the only dwelling on this property. It feels like the yard belongs to this house. And yeah, the view is really lovely.
And I can see that that really is something that you've done here. You've minimized the windows on the southern side so that there really is no connection or sort of visible looking out onto the main dwelling, and then kept all of the glazing on the north face.
That's exactly right, and we've done that for privacy and for some level of separation between this dwelling and the primary dwelling, but also in facing the house north, that's the ideal orientation. And it means that we attract all of the heat of the sun in winter. And so, yeah, each of the rooms connects to the yard and in doing so faces north.
Now, talk to me about the living room here.
Well, the living room is quite a generous size given the size of the overall house. And we've positioned that as close as possible to the deck so that we get that sort of indoor-outdoor living.
And I see you've got fans throughout the house. Is this the only kind of cooling you've got here?
That's right. We rely on the circulation of air, and we've positioned all of the windows for the best cross-ventilation. But we also rely on drawing cool air from the earth via the concrete slab.
The polished concrete floor is a really lovely finish, isn't it?
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a very sort of quiet finish, and it's very robust given that there's a young child living in the house and potentially another one in the future.
And so what about services in this home, power and water?
The services here are shared with the primary dwelling. We do have a 5,000 litre water tank, and that water feeds the washing machine and the toilet. But the client is putting some money aside for both a solar system and a battery system so that they can effectively be off-grid.
And then behind us is the kitchen.
Yeah, it's a really good sized kitchen because what we've tried to do in every instance is put a conventionally sized piece of utility in the space so that it doesn't in fact feel like a smaller home. And we've gone with a concrete coloured bench top to match in, I guess, with the floor and just try and create as quiet a palette as possible.
And fully kit out with the appliances in here?
Yeah, I mean the kitchen has every luxury that you would find in a conventional kitchen. There's a fridge, a 600 oven and cooktop, an integrated dishwasher, which is great. And the kitchen also contains the utility of a laundry.
And one of the things that I see you've tried to do here is connect everything. So the kitchen, for example, is very open to the living space.
Yeah, that's right. We've tried to break down as many of the barriers as we possibly can to make the space feel as generous as possible. And the kitchen hugs the southern wall because we don't need any openings there. And it sort of blends into what we've kind of called this function wall that runs along the southern boundary of the house.
And then can you tell me about the design of the study?
What we did is we reused the cutout of the door to make the desk. So the desk is in the same material as the walls, which helps to make the space feel a little bit bigger. There's some integrated desk lighting and then a large storage unit here which can become a wardrobe in the event that a second occupant occupies this room as a bedroom.
Great. And is this felt that you've got on the wall here?
This is a felt, so this is imagined as a pinboard, I guess, given that it's an office. It's a nice way to treat the wall without having to use plasterboard, and it gives us some better acoustics as well.
And then what do we have next door?
Next door we have the kids' room. Now the idea with this is at the moment we have two small spaces. We have the office and we also have the kids' room, but if this family was to grow, this room could effectively swell by removing this party wall, which is the only wall in the house that is not structural or made from cross-laminated timber.
And then there's quite generous proportions in here too, isn't there?
Well, I mean, look, this room is probably the smallest in the house, but it has all of the amenity of a bedroom and it's very comfortable for a child.
I really like the way that you've thought about future-proofing this home for the family, because even though it is such a small home, by adding elements like the removable walls, you really have given them so many options as to what these rooms might become in the future, haven't you?
That's right. If that wall was to be removed, then this would become a very generous space and perfect for two kids and a play area. The proportions of these rooms at present are designed so that we can move from a cot to a single bed, and a single bed will slot perfectly in within that proportion. And that's the same for in the study. A single bed can slot directly in next to that wardrobe, or what would become a wardrobe.
And then when the kids are gone as well, maybe a pool room, maybe a bowling alley.
We have a design for a man cave.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that. Got to have one eventually, right? And then what do we have down the other end of the home?
Down the other end we have firstly the bathroom and then the master bedroom.
Generous sized bathroom here?
It is quite generous, but it's very well designed. It's extremely functional. We have a good sized bath, given the sort of narrow proportions. It's much longer than it is wide. But we have all of the sort of conventional set out that you would have in a much larger bathroom with respect to space.
Fantastic. Important to have a bathtub when there's kids as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of the primary concerns, was to have a bathtub. And it took us a little while to find something that would work both really well for a bath and for a shower, given that there was only one of them.
And then master bedroom through here.
That's right, last room in the house is the master bedroom. And as you can see, the proportions are like a conventionally sized bedroom. This is a king bed and it fits really, really comfortably. And then we've taken advantage of this little nook to continue the function wall in for the wardrobes.
Very nice. So what was it that motivated you to start designing smaller homes?
When I began designing small homes, there was a real synergy with the clientele that I'd be working with. I was in that environment myself, living in something small, and with considerations around cost and the cost of living in our cities, small real estate was an opportunity for me and an avenue for young people. So I took a strong interest in designing compact spaces.
And obviously the affordability is a huge issue and a huge part of why people are downsizing. What is the cost of this home?
This house at 60 square metres is around about $4,000 a square metre, but it can be very difficult to measure the cost of a very small space in square metres because you need all of the amenity of a larger home and there's very little wasted space, and it's the wasted space that is cheap or free.
Exactly. Cheapest thing to add to a home is size.
That's right.
And so all up, what is the final figure there?
About $240,000 for this house.
So how does that, for example, compare to the average house price in this area?
Look, the average price in this area is probably at least 5 or 6 times that. So the ability to be able to share with the owners of the primary dwelling has created a living environment where there is very little financial stress.
And not only that, I think the most important thing is that here they have obviously not pulled their costs anywhere. It's high quality, it's well insulated, it's beautiful, it's well designed. They really have got a tremendous amount of home for that money, albeit in a very small footprint.
That's exactly right. The quality is very high. That was the paramount consideration. This house costs nothing to run. It's super insulated. All of the lighting is low voltage LED. There's no air conditioning. This is a very natural home. This is a very easy house to live in that doesn't have ongoing costs for maintenance or repair or anything like that.
We wanted to feel like we blended in with nature, and we do actually. It does feel like that. We have big windows that we can kind of look out to the trees. We leave our blinds up at night, which is nice, with the sun coming in the morning, waking us up. So I guess it's kind of like a bit of like a camping feel, but you're really well protected from the elements. And yeah, it's really lovely.
I think for us, we built what we thought would work for now, and it feels really good right now, and I think we'll definitely handle a second baby, hopefully at some stage in here. And
it's a really good time, you know, having a family and having small children living in this environment, and also being close to family. It's you know, it kind of works really well for all of us.
Well, I definitely think it is a really beautifully designed home. You have done a very good job on this one. Thank you so much for sharing it with me.
Thanks for coming out and having a look.
To me, multi-generational living just makes so much sense. And it's about so much more than just affordability. It really comes down to connecting people, connecting families, and allowing them to live with one another and share space, but still have a little bit of separation. Wonderfully designed homes like this are truly facilitating that. And there is no question in my mind that we are going to see a lot more of this in the future.